Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Wonder Woman, issue number 70. All right, listen, I'm going to make mistakes in this book, gender pronoun mistakes, and just understand they're mistakes because I'm not used to talking that way. I don't actually know anyone I don't even know the proper terminology to use. You know what I'm saying? I don't know any hermaphrodites or anyone who wishes to be referred to in this way or that way. I don't know how to do that. So I'm going to try. I'm going to make mistakes. I'm going to probably even stutter a couple times. But anyway, I don't mean any insult by it. Let's get into who made this book, and I'll talk a little bit about this book. Love is a Battlefield, a tribute to Pat Benatar, apparently, part 2. G. Willow Wilson is on writing duties, Zermanico on art, Romulo Fierro Jr. on colors, and Romulo and Jesus Marino did the cover. Pat Brousseau did the letters, and the variant cover was by Jenny Frison. And it says here that Wonder Woman was created by William Moulton Marston, but William Moulton Marston did not create Wonder Woman alone. And if we're buds, please, first person to type below gets a unofficial no prize for who the person is who actually drew Wonder Woman, because DC doesn't know, apparently. Maybe we can let them know. So Atlantiades, I believe that's the way you pronounce their name. So far so good. So this is not a god or a goddess, a divine being. Come on, I'm doing good so far. I'm doing so good so far. This divine being is the divine being of desire, something that goes not. It's like a sister to love, and we know that Wonder Woman is in fact love. It's funny. I just watched Wonder Woman last night on Netflix. First time my wife got to see it. She's like, "Oh, I've been wanting to see this." Like, yeah, I've been telling you to see it for crying out loud for like a year and a half. Durr. So we watched it, and she liked it. She didn't like the end, the very end, and I can't blame her. It is what it is. But I didn't pepper her with my thoughts until after she already gave her opinion on it. So it was her opinion. This book, I can see a lot of people not liking this book because first off, this does feel like a self-help book. It's not preachy. I don't know if there's an agenda necessarily. I don't claim myself to be an expert enough to read minds and know what G. Willow Wilson is thinking when she writes this book. The book is what it is. The book is. You know what I'm saying? Much like Darkseid, the book is. And it's definitely self-help, though, in some regards. At least that's the way that I'm looking at it. And there's going to be a lot of people who don't like that, but that's fine. These are probably a lot of the same people who have Jordan Peterson's book right next to them, which, go figure, is a self-help book. It's not a bad self-help book either. It's good. It'll help people. It's just there are people who don't understand. They just think to themselves, self-help, I'm programmed. I'm told that I'm not supposed to like self-help. I don't see why. I personally enjoy self-help books, particularly ones on leadership and things like that, because I know that despite my time in the military, I make a horrible leader because I'm mean. I'm very mean when it comes to leading, and I need to not be mean. So I like to look at the occasional self-help book about not being mean when you lead. What do you call it? So this particular case, you've got the divine being of desire faced with Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, mind you, who the reason why she loved Batman back in the day is because this was pre-New 52, was because Batman had been with a lot of women. No, that's not why she liked him. It was one of the offsets of why she liked him. It was a lead-up. Batman had been with a lot of women. Therefore, he didn't need to look at any woman with lust and desire. He never looked at Wonder Woman with lust and desire, which is what everybody else, for the most part, looked at Wonder Woman as a sex object, a figure of conquest. Like, what I'm saying? Oh my God, I gotta be with this girl, or, something along those lines. And Batman didn't look at her that way, and she appreciated that. Something to be said about that. Granted, some women enjoy that. Some women lust after that. It's cool, man. Everybody's an individual. There is no guys are this or girls are that. No. There is no such thing as that. That's just people's headcanon. Much like me saying that that was my favorite version of Wonder Woman back then, when she wanted to be with Batman, but she was cool about it. What do you call it? We've all got our own version of what a character is supposed to be like in our head, specifically with comic books. And insulting someone because they believe Batman should or shouldn't kill is ridiculous to me, because maybe they only read such and such and such. And if you read every single Batman story ever, then you'd figure that you'd be wise enough to know that there are multiple different versions of Batman Bruce Wayne. There's versions where the writers did this, versions where the writers did that. And you could dislike what a writer did about this, that, or the other thing, but insulting someone else for liking what this writer did is just silly. So that's my favorite version of Wonder Woman. Damn the critics. You know what I'm saying? And I say this as a critic. So Wonder Woman is able to resist the confrontation with this divine being of desire. I'm doing pretty good with pronouns, right? Mind you, I'm the first time I was ever called professor was by my students when I taught English in university. So if anybody has the right to criticize the English language, I would count myself amongst them. English teachers, English as a second language teachers, and linguistics majors. I would say that we have a good right to criticize the English language. A lot of good things about it, but I don't feel the need to. I don't think that we should have to be bound by calling people by what's between or not between their legs. Just saying. Imagine if you had to call someone, penis wielder or vagina bearer. I mean, like, just how silly is that? Granted, if someone called me the penis wielder, go ahead, you can call me the penis wielder. What do you call it? Anyway, so Wonder Woman here is not bothered by the desire of this divine being. Instead, she is still affected by some of the thoughts that go with desire, because it's not just her own desire. Rather, it's what she imagines as the desire of Steve Trevor. There's a lot to say about the character of Steve Trevor. One of the reasons why I like her being with Batman is because her love of Batman was a choice, and it was a complex relationship, as opposed to what is in my headcanon, the first man that she ever sees is the person who she falls in love with, and no one else will ever live up to that expectation. It's juvenile to me. If you love that version of Wonder Woman, again, I'm not here to insult you. This is my headcanon, that's yours, or something different. But she is worried about Steve Trevor. Well, basically, the thoughts are already there in the comic books, and in this comic book, in this issue, there is no action in this comic book. In fact, the one part where there could be some action, there's some people trying to get some action, but the only potential fight scene that could have happened was squashed immediately. I'm okay with that. In fact, I kind of like that. I don't need every issue to be action and people punching each other or magic lassos choking people out. What do you call it? This book had a lot more than just that. It was much more mature than that. The end of this book, in fact, made me think that this is something of, and this is probably going to turn some people off too, a Tyler Perry movie. The Medea movies. I personally am not a huge fan of the Medea movies, the Tyler Perry movies, because I look at it as Tyler Perry has one really good thought and then makes an entire movie about it, or a play, usually a play and then a movie. But at the same time, I'm wise enough to know that I don't need Brie Larson telling me that my opinion doesn't matter in this regard, because these movies aren't made for me. I'm okay with that. I'm totally okay with that. And there is still, like, those points that Tyler Perry does make in the movies are actually really good. Case in point, I don't remember the name of the particular movie, but there was one part where he talks about how we get 80% of what we need from our spouses. We're never going to get 100% of what we want, because then that would be slavery, basically, And I don't know that anybody would be particularly happy with that. Some of us may think we would be. I personally don't think that we would be. But when you want to get that other 20%, because you want that 100%, so you find another person who you could get that 20% from. So now you think that you have 100%, but the problem is the other person finds out, your 80% finds out about that 20%, and that person leaves, and now you're stuck with only 20%. You do the math, you lost big time. Whatever it is that you saw in your particular other, like that is gone now. It's gone. And all that history, it's gone now. Probably never to be returned. It doesn't matter if you're a guy and you lose your girl. It doesn't matter if you're a girl and you lose your guy. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter, whatever the relationship is. I'm just going to insert the LGBTQ community in there instead of going over all the pronouns, which, again, I'm not a fan of pronouns. The gender-specific pronouns, I should say. Yeah, this felt like a Tyler Perry movie, play, whatever. And it was good. It was good in that regard. Again, if that's not your forte, you will not like this book. That's okay. Perfectly okay. I enjoyed this book, and I'm looking forward to the next issue. All right, guys, that's it for me. 2 weeks. Professor Bill, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.